Hey adventurers, welcome to the crew. I'm Sea Lord Janda, and this is my Let's Play of Pillars of Eternity. We are descending through the final dungeon of the map, and this will be the final episode of Pillars of Eternity. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope you all enjoy it. That's not remotely mutually exclusive, it's just not very, You expect the gods to be the creators, not the created. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely.
Maybe less safe. Let's take a quick sec.
Anyone hear an echo?
I think we probably all hear an echo at this point. That's cheery looking. Oh. And Tandra Tara. Rather dark down here. Oh dear. Oh my. That doesn't seem good. Okay, seems like all the souls in me are lighting the place up. Isn't that nice?
Full of surprises, aren't you?
Look at that. A city to put all others to shame. And long lost.
Can you do that again? I had something in my eye. Missed most of it.
I'm afraid not. Yes, it does seem like there's a really, epic ancient Ongwithan city or something down here. Sun and Shadow. So what's with all the people that are like, oh, you know what? This is like the same as when Thaos set off that thing at the start, the Ongwithan machine.
Brave thou not
Shades of the Ongwithans. Have fun. They've been down here a while.
Stand!
I like how they crumble to dust when I loot them. Okay, I'm lighting more stuff up. And that's pissed off the shadow of a drake. Okay then. Whoa. Maybe let's deal with the immediate shades first, eh? That one's... Yeah, I think that one just teleported, honestly. Alright, Adrian, you handle those. Palagina will handle those. All of the melee characters. Let's get rid of this one that's... or the ranged characters. Let's get rid of this one that's eating our face, shall we? Did Palagina just solo that Drake? I think she did. Well done. Oh, hey. Stormcaller is finally leveled up. Oh, damn it. That next thing is very easy, but it's impossible now, but... A lookout on the pirate ship, Grinning Maralina, took Stormcaller from the captured merchant ship. He used Stormcaller to fire on enemy ships from the crow's nest. While the Maralina approached, he could set flame to enemy sails or peg fleeing ships with rope arrows. However, when the captain began to look with envy on the marvelous bow, he jumped ship, sold Stormcaller, and became a fisherman. I don't know what's new here. Was it... I think it was already exceptional. Is this 10% chance to cast Returning Storm new? I don't actually think it is. Is this new? Maybe. Yeah. Rest in the lair of a sky dragon. Super easy. Very much casual matter of traveling to the Temple of Hylia. Except that we can't travel to the Temple of Hylia anymore. Bunch of dead drakes. Colored drakes. Interesting, so they had pet drakes. Chalky bits of bone break away between your fingers. Well, maybe not exactly pet. Seems like they were pretty thoroughly chained up, so they were probably quite dangerous still, but... somewhat tame, perhaps? The shadows in the cavern suddenly lengthen and swallow you. When your eyes adjust to the darkness, you find yourself in the midst of what must be another vision. You're surrounded by mists. The ground feels springy under your feet. You imagine that as soon as you take a step, the soil behind you will erase all trace of your passage. As if on cue, the mists before you clear just enough for you to take a couple steps forward. You do, and the fog closes behind you. You continue for several minutes in this manner, one step at a time, never seeing more than the ground right in front of you. Eventually, rays of light cut through the haze, and you find yourself facing a canyon wall. Valgina's head violently snaps to one side, her eyes tracking some unseen threat. She puts her hand to the side of her face, where two of her arrows have been cut short near the base. Tufts of down float in the air. Something whizzes past you. Just as you turn, you catch another whir of movement. Out of the mist flits a shape, small and round. You think you see another, and another. They tickle the corners of your vision. You turn back to the canyon wall. The sun shifts along its path, and what looked like a smooth rock face is the hollow of a cave. A figure steps out, its features shifting and changing before your eyes. He who sees and is not seen, save when he chooses, it seems. Connor regards the figure with weary fascination. I thought the god of mystery is my chief enemy at times, but one cannot seek out answers if the questions aren't there. The figure transforms from male to female, from Orlin to Omoa, its bones lengthening and its fur receding into its flesh. The only detail that remains constant is the smooth, eyeless face. The whizzing, rushing shapes from the mist converge on the figure, and as they form a spinning cloud, you realize that they are eyes.
You understand the value of a mystery watcher. A buried scroll, a hidden truth. These are my ways. You unravel a thread, Watcher. One you have lost and discovered over generations. And following it to its end has only brought you back to the beginning.
The eyes track you even as they circle the god. What are you talking about, Whale? Whale giggles, a strangely modulated sound that rises and falls as the god shifts from one form to the next. You seek and search while your foe obscures, and even your quest for answers to your past has only led you to another mystery, and one grander still. Look, at this point, I just want to keep my soul from unraveling, buddy. Yet as you've sought this goal, your foes have pursued another.
A nebula of souls, blind and brimming with potential. The answer to Woodika's question and the beginning of yours. What would you do with them?
Thunderclouds form overhead, casting shadows of movement across the canyon. I could tell you all this, but I take it you've got something in mind like all the other gods? The clouds break and the torrent of rain washes Whale's features clean. Its blank face molds itself again, taking on the shape of something you've never seen before. Do not consign the souls to the fate of some god's choosing. You have found them. Now scatter them across existence, their destination known to neither god nor mortal. Let them be lost again, new answers to new riddles. Behind him, the sudden downpour has carved new caves into the canyon. Buddy, you are a god asking me to decide their fate.
In a way. But something must be done, and hurling them from the machinery of other schemes is the truest course of action.
Okay, buddy. Why?
That is the purpose.
What will happen to them?
None know. They could end up anywhere in the realms of gods or mortals, whole or divided. Discovering them again and charting their course through the ether will be a new mystery.
Okay, bye-bye, Whale.
That is a word for endings, and this is but a crossroads. Even I do not know what you would choose.
Shadows from the new caves melt and spread across the landscape, covering you in darkness. When the light returns, the vision is gone. Yeah, I tell you what I'm not going to choose is Whale's all chaos, no purpose route of just throwing them all over the bloody place. For funsies. Sorry, Whale. I'm not into it. Boy, another vision. Oh. I've woken up a bunch more shadows. Yay. Let us go. Nope, and there's dragon. It's on my head. There's dragon on my head. Let's just cast Killing Bolt on it. That sounds fun. Ader, come over here and knock the dragon down, because it's kind of funny when you do that. Flawless. And I instantly Killing Bolted it to death. Okay, well done, us.
Stand together.
Oh, it's still alive. Oh, I thought it was dead. My bad. I don't know why I thought it was dead.
Stand together.
Very incorrect assumption of me.
That's for my friend.
Well, now it's dead.
I'd be glad to.
The door. Interesting. Check that out in a second. Let me just... Thank you. This really goes all over the place. Okay, that's a dead end.
Brave Thaos.
And this is for shades.
Your aid is summoned.
Yeah!
Crusader was stuck back there the whole time.
At
Bye-bye,
once.
shades. Yep, another dead end, but with a pot with a potion of Lengroth's displaced image. Oh, nice. Lengroth's a personal friend these days anyway, so... Okay, where does the door lead? Like... It's not down the way? Port... I'm not gonna click the door willy-nilly until I find other exits. I feel like surely down is the way forward. Oh, okay, I guess not. Oh, down might be broken because it kind of looks like the stairs maybe end. Oh, missed something there. Couple of corpses with exceptional brigandine and exceptional crossbow. Okay, well, useless, but I guess through the door we go. Oh, sun and shadow. I think this is it, folks. You can see the whole map. There's this, and there's this gigantic, massive chunk of Adra, and this really big Unwithin Soul Machine. Now let's circle the rim of the room a little, maybe. See if there's anything terribly interesting. Loot.
Are you ready to take the oath? To spread the word of the gods to the lost and heathen?
Oh, could I not get directly downwards? Oh, I don't think I could. So I have to go around, I see.
I am trusting you to remain loyal to the gods in this. If you do not, you will have greater powers than me to answer to. But you will answer to me as well.
Well, Thaos, I did in the past life, but it's not happening this time.
I wouldn't ask this were there any other choice.
Yeah, I think you probably would, to be honest. A statue.
This is a missionary, same as I was. Taught the wrong things as I was. Osionis. They have held off many would-be invaders.
You are ready to give a confession?
I'm ready to hear one from you.
Extremely badass. Also, I missed this loot. I'm going back for this loot. Just hold on a second. Scotty will grab it for us. There's literally no point to getting this. There's no way we're gonna need it again, but, you know, out of principle.
Oh, wish we'd brought a sled.
Anything else? No, looks like that's a lot of it. Alright, everybody back to this platform. Well, I'm sure Scouting and Eater will catch up. Oh, I need to talk to Ader and Aloth.
We've been lied to. Our whole lives, and many lives before that. And it's led us to put our faith in a pantheon of gods that never deserved it in the first place.
Aye. Thaos is wrong. Most people are fundamentally decent. Knowing the truth can only make them better.
You're right. People will be better off finding direction on their own than following this farce. Besides, the gods haven't exactly done much to prevent us from slaughtering each other. If anything, they've only given us more pretenses for doing so.
That's true. That's the most hypocritical thing about the whole affair, isn't it? Thaos has killed so many people in order to prevent us from discovering the gods because he thinks that will cause us to kill people. That doesn't hold up, buddy.
Seems like that's all they've been doing of late.
The gods are literally making war on
I've
each
also
other
been
on Earth
thinking.
at times.
There won't be much left of Thaos by the time you're done with him, if I know how you operate. That will leave the leaden key headless. Perhaps it's best it stays that way.
Yeah, I think it should probably stay that way.
Then let's face Thaos. When this is all over, I'll make sure that no one is able to commit his abuses again.
Good. Ader, where are you at? You're stuck over there. Get over here. Damn it, Ader. Need to have a conversation
here.
with you. No. Run to each other.
Well, doesn't that just beat all? Here I was, wondering all this time whether all these terrible things were people's fault or the gods. Turns out they might be the same thing. Wonder how things would have gone different 15 years ago if the Raid Sarens had been told their god was made in some forge or kiln someplace. Would we still have gone to war?
Honestly, answer A is probably correct. People were starving. They would have rebelled sooner or later.
I could see the rebellion still happening, but I don't know that they would have invaded.
Yes, that's very likely, actually, yes. He looks down at the Raid Sarens and Deerwood probably would have been natural allies, if anything, although it could be like a US-Mexico situation also, but, you know. He looks down at the ground, drumming his fingers against his side restlessly. When he speaks again, it seems half to himself.
I don't know. When Woden left for war, we, had a fight. As brothers will.
Wow.
About him going off to war. He was set on it. My parents warned him. They said you get a new country with every trip across the border, but your god, you only get the one. Me? I didn't know who was right. All I knew was I didn't want him to go. It's the same for families as it is for gods. You only get the one. I said every vicious thing I could think of, trying to change his mind. He brushed it off. Just got me madder, of course, him being so calm. He said I should come with him, but he'd understand if I didn't want to. I told him he'd better be able to face his god one day and answer for what he'd done. He said he'd keep that in mind. And then he was gone. By the time I'd cooled off, months had passed. One morning it dawns on me that my brother always knew better than me. If he was so sure of what he was doing, then I should be there with him. I packed my things and was on the road that same morning. Of course, what I didn't know then was he'd already changed his mind. By that time, he was dead on that field.
Do you think he went to Widewin because of what you said to him?
Crossed my mind. You live in a place like Gilded Vale. You don't have a whole lot else to do other than think about things you don't want to think about.
Yeah.
I hope that wasn't it. I hope he went there because it's what he thought was right. But it seems I'm not meant to know.
So if you'd left with him, you'd have known.
If I'd have left with him, we'd both be dead, so
But that's true, yeah.
why bother thinking about it? I found my own way in the end, and it wasn't my brother's and it wasn't my god's.
know if it was right. But I couldn't abide what Wydwin was doing to his own. God or not.
That's the hard choice, Ader, and you were right to
I
take it.
don't regret it. Whether Wydwin was Aothis, well, it hardly seems to matter after what we just heard. And all these questions I've been trying to figure out. I think I just miss my brother.
He smiles faintly. When he breathes, the air seems to flow more freely through his lungs.
Still
Let's
one
be
more
on our
mess
way.
we gotta straighten out. Come on then. I still owe you one.
Alright, the whole party, please.
Yes?
Get me all
Aye?
buddy.
I'm ready.
Get back together here. Alright. Now then. Quick save. This is the platform. Quest completed? Okay. Doesn't feel very completed, to be honest. Nope. Thaos, you over there, buddy? Oh, you sure are. Or is that a... I think that's a memory or ghost of him. You've come to a circular room, grand and domed, its walls lined with Adra and trimmed with copper. At the far end, a great pillar of Adra pierces the floor from below like a ragged spike, its shimmering texture giving the illusion of boundless depth. Your thoughts are yours and not yours, and they are all questions. At the base of the pillar stands Thaos, a look of concern on his face as he notes your approach. You have something you want to ask him, one question above all others, spinning madly in your mind, but you don't dare ask it yet. You need some admission from him first, some hint of the veracity of your suspicions.
You are far from your post, Inquisitor. What brings you here?
Your mind races, weighing different angles of approach, your emotions barely in check. Was Siovara telling the truth?
That woman sought only to destroy the foundations of peace and civility that my people sacrificed everything to build.
That machine behind you. What does it do?
It has many uses, but its purpose is to bring structure to the chaos that surrounds it.
All these statues, who are they of?
They are monuments to Woodika's greatest servants among my people. I hope to join them myself one day, but my work is not yet complete.
What is this place?
We are in a sanctum holy to Woodika. There are others like it in service to the other gods. I come here often to pray for her counsel, and in this space I may be assured that she hears me.
Thaos? Was the entire Inquisition based on a lie?
The Inquisition was based on the need to cut the flesh from a rotting wound.
You're shaking now. Having lost all patience for tact. No more evasions. You have to know everything you believed, everything you've done for the gods. Did you lie to me when you said the gods would absolve my sins? Thaos says nothing. Are there no gods?
What is a god? A higher power? A rewarder of good deeds and punisher of the wicked? Something men can turn to in their darkest moments when their days seem only like bridges from one tragedy to the next. Our gods are all these things.
Thaos, every word, you find yourself losing control of a boiling cauldron of rage and doubt and fear and hopelessness until you can take it no more. Are there no gods?
We are in a sacred place within earshot of the gods themselves. This is not the time. You've been through much these past few months. You will return home and you will rest. When you feel you have recovered, you may rejoin us at the trials. The Inquisition is far from over, and I will have need of you. There are many who continue to spread the lies of the apostate. The Inquisition will not end until we have pronounced judgment on all of them.
His eyes linger on you. There is no mistaking the threat behind it. your age shrinks at the image of an iron wheel in your mind, monolithic and caked with the dried blood of thousands. You do not ask your question again. Oh, hello. You look like you might be made of flesh.
How did you find it?
I didn't. It was Lady Webb, actually.
Another in a string of acts of petty defiance. For all her knowledge, she always preferred spite over reason.
It was reason that guided her hand in this.
Then she should have obeyed. I ask one thing of all my followers. She was incapable. A waste of rare talent and intellect.
Talent and intellect were too great for her to live as your servant, Thaos.
What of your cohorts, then? They have followed you to their deaths. Is it loyalty that brings them here? Or is it, as my agents suggest, that they have no direction of their own?
Yeah, they kind of didn't when they joined up with me, to be honest, but they do now.
You worshipped Aethys, did you not?
Your spies are good. What gave me away? The cape?
Yet when your god needed you the most, you chose your country.
Peter frowns, irritated.
We were being invaded. Not by anyone who was acting like a god.
Then I should think your hometown gave you a hero's welcome when you returned.
They made cake. Hard to blame people for losing faith when it's the gods who are misbehaving.
The gods
Tell 'em later.
argue over how best to prevent Kith society from destroying itself. These disruptions would not be necessary were mortal instinct not so diseased.
Okay, it was an all-out genocidal war, Thaos.
You have devoted yourself to studying the work of my people. Why?
I thought your people had much to teach us. That we too could create great machines, improve our ships, make an empire as vast and impressive as yours ever was, built upon your secrets.
And did you ever consider that these were things you were never meant to understand? That their comprehension is beyond you?
There's nothing we're not meant to understand, Thaos. I know better. The Ongwithans weren't an infallible race. You were never gods. All your petty experiments, your heinous crimes, your glorious achievements. You were just people, and your time came and went. Ongwith is a lesson now for those who remain.
You are living in the time of my people, Amawa. You owe them more than you will ever comprehend, and so it shall ever be. Greater civilizations than yours have attempted to reclaim what we buried. The greater their successes, the worse their fates in the end. I have seen to it.
Alright, very uncalled for, Thaos.
I understand your Duke's bells gave you a mission.
Their orders do not absolve me of my greater responsibility to the safety and well-being of the Republics.
You might want to skip over this one, Thaos. Don't want to pick a fight you can't win.
Yet you disobeyed. Something you already have a reputation for. They will know, of course. If it had been for a worthy cause, they might have forgiven you. But I don't see them pursuing animancy after seeing what it's done here. They trusted you, and you disappointed, as you always have. And you will again be disowned.
The parents scold, but the children are safe. Whether animancy research continues in the Republics or not, they will survive. For now, that's enough. In any case, I wouldn't be so smug about my fate, Thaos. I imagine Woodica responds to disappointment much more severely than even my dukes.
State your name and purpose, young acolyte.
Okay, Thaos.
My name belonged to the gods and my hand to their service. No more.
You serve none but yourself. Without contact with your order, you can have no higher purpose. Only the base concerns of the flesh. You have cast yourself from our ranks.
And I should have done it years before. I'd rather live in uncertainty than servitude.
And that uncertainty would lead you where it leads everyone. To doubt, to emptiness, to the many cruelties inspired by disbelief. You will have to forgive your Grandmaster for remaining skeptical of his initiate's choices.
Oh, Thaos. Not to be controversial, but he pretty much just sounds like a lot of evangelicals. In real life, I mean. AKA massive loser.
You are far from home, dwarf.
I knew my hunt would send me a long way from Masuk. It was a challenge I was glad to undertake for my village.
A journey, then? It must be of some import to take you so far and to last so long.
What's important is that I'll return soon. And when I do, I'll spend my time where it matters.
So it was worth it, then, to tell a dying beast of things it neither understood nor had memory of. You are here because you are lost. The gods cannot reach everyone, I'm afraid. May you fare better in your next lives.
He directs his gaze at you.
I gather you have had your soul awakened. Why else would you shadow my footsteps like some stray mongrel? You think I have something to offer you, but our business was concluded long ago.
Our business will conclude when you've told me all I wish to know, Thaos.
I answered your questions once. That your soul is not fit to accept the answers is of little concern to me. I lied to no one. Not to you, not to anyone. The gods are real. They are everything we need them to be, and the world is better for it.
You convinced me once the gods would absolve me of my guilt. There's no one to absolve either of us of our crimes.
Guilt is a disease of the mind. If the mind no longer believes it is guilty, then that is as good as absolution.
I don't think that's true, Thaos. This is probably why you're a villain.
The heart of this country has skipped a beat. Nothing more. I have done far worse. I plunged the peaceful kingdom of Thaos into civil war. I slew the monarch of Desantio, whose people never knew hardship under his rule, and replaced him with a cruel despot who brought them to ruin.
Why are you bragging about this so much,
When
buddy?
plague arrived at the great city of Arborensis, I saw to it that the cure did not. They piled their dead outside the city in heaps that rose above their walls.
Is this supposed to make things better here?
It is to show the proper perspective.
Okay, that you've done a lot of acts of mass murder?
There was a time, back when your soul was still a shapeless mist, when the world believed only in false gods. Thousands of them. Gods that told them to take slaves. Gods that told them to make war upon their neighbors and devour the slain. Gods that told them to burn their children alive and cover themselves in the ashes as a sign of their faith. But all that changed when they learned of the true gods. Our gods. All those misshapen, bestial instincts melted beneath the radiance of our God's majesty. You could see it in their eyes. That dull emptiness replaced with the glimmer of a kindled spark.
I don't think it really did, because they still kill each other a whole lot out there, Thaos. Don't know if you've noticed. False hope right there.
There is no false hope. Only hope for things that never come.
Yeah, that's called false
Had
hope.
you imagined this existence? The one the apostate would have created. We are not all so virtuous as she. Without our gods, the most wicked, the most tyrannical, they would take that power for themselves.
Yeah, I think they sometimes already do.
But more than that, it would be a hollow existence. All mysteries forever unanswered. All purposes constructed from meaninglessness. No endings to bring closure. Only a wheel, turning without mercy, grinding our spirits to dust.
You underestimate people, Thaos.
For all my years, I have seen exactly what they are capable of. What the apostate asked was beyond any man. All I have seen, the millennia of experience. I will not be dissuaded from this course. This is the only way.
You're blind, Thaos. You're ruled by your own doubts. Talked yourself into insanity.
We are all controlled by our own doubts. Better that we should be relieved of them. With your soul and thousands of others, I will see this world purged of its suffering. Hear me, Woodica. Your servant calls for aid.
Thaos puts his hands out low to either side as though welcoming some unseen guest. He shuts his eyes and casts his face skyward.
Roak 10!
boy, what are we summoning? An avatar of Woodica or something? Oh, the big statues. That's not good. How fun. Those are large.
Great.
Well, let's see. Palagina, go after that one. Ader can go after that one. What is Ader wearing again? Oh, he's wearing the skull. That's right. That's why he looks like that. Okay. The fox can go for Thaos. And then let's see, I guess you also... Let's just deal with these quickly as we can. Get yourself your damage bonus. You know, start casting something immediately, and then we'll go for something bigger when they stop moving. Okay, now... Oh, we can get 2 of them in this? Yes, please. This is not really going to be as hard a fight as it's supposed to be, because we are level 16, but... Oh my god, Thaos is almost dead from the fox. Oh, bloody. Okay, yeah, it's gonna be really easy, actually. To the point that I feel like it wouldn't have been that hard even with 12. Oh, hey, he transferred his soul into the judge. And knocked Ader down. Let's go Flames Devotion that. And also shoot it, maybe? Okay, Thaos is back alive. He has a lot more health. Okay, it does have stages, to be fair. Scon's confused. Let's see, what are our chances? Not very good of actually hitting him with these, but let's try it anyway. Oh, is Loth confused? Yes. A lot of us are confused. But Kana's not. And I'm not. And Palagina's not, so we're alright. How's Ader doing? Something just did 104 damage. Did I hit him with the killing bolt? Sure did. Loser. Alright, let's cast another one. Let's start some Sacred Immolation. He's pretty hard to hit. But I grazed him for another 52, so one more killing bolt. Oh, Scani is... Oh no, she's still confused. Kana's just dazed. He's engaged. Okay, on confused. Good. Everybody's on confused. Let's get in here.
Ready, Watcher.
Come on, Paladin.
Oh, I'm almost dead. Oh, I just died. Okay. That's a problem. Oh, he just dominated a lot of people. That's gonna make the fight much tougher. Obviously. Should we cast Boil the Flesh? Not until he's stabilized. Okay. Now let's cast it on him. Or should I just summon the Drake? How long are you people dominated for? My god, Itumak and 8 are not for that long, but Aloth's dominated for 13 seconds, and Palagina is just down, which is bad. Oh, in fact, hold on. Let's just cast this, never mind.
Ready, Watcher.
I need to get myself and Palagina back up. Palagina's literally the only healing we have. Well, actually, I guess Kana is also healing, but... Back away. Shoot him. Palagina, did you heal? Yes, but do lay on hands. Oh, I've died again. That's not good. It killed me. Okay, Itumak is about to be... Oh, Itumak just killed Sagani, though. That's not good. I wonder if a Loth killed me. How long before the Dominated wears off on everyone? Or even is it on Ader? Let's get somebody down effects. Okay, only 3 seconds or something for those two. Loth is just going to stay dominated, apparently, for the immediately foreseeable future. Palagina's pretty much healed. Ader is on the brink of death, which is not good. Don't hit him. Hit Thaos only. Oh. Maybe, well... Okay. The other two it's about to wear off. Let's cast it on Aloth. I almost forgot I even had that. That's probably the first time I've ever actually used it. Let's do that on myself. And let's run far enough away that you don't get instantly killed again. Hopefully. Aloth is confused again. Did Palagina just get... No, she's not dominated, she's just confused, but... Ader is down, oh god. Oh, somebody hit Thaos pretty hard, though. Damn, he heals aggressively. I'll give him this much, he's a pretty big problem. Let's get Ader back up. This is only foes, that would work. Or something like this, but that would also... Is this only enemies? I'm pretty sure this affects our guys too. On the other hand, I could just about... Well, no, I hit Kana with this. Oh, Ader, I'm gonna need you to heal up real quick. Okay, that damaged him. Not enough, but... What's your problem now? Run over there and hit him. What? No, switch back to your melee weapons. Good grief. Knock him down. Loth. Palagina is still confused. She'll be alright in a second. Edomoc's back up. But confused, but... hold on.
Following your lead.
That didn't work. Try to knock him down. A 0% hit chance, huh? Ouch. We gotta stop him from healing, because that seems to be the big problem. This bypasses DR reductions. That's pretty damn good, if I'm willing to dare getting close enough to him. Where's Aloth? Oh, he's right here. Aloth, you also cast this. Yeah, that worked a lot, actually. More of this. What? Oh, great. Now I'm dominated? Oh my god. This is all this dominating he's doing is a big problem. Let's see, Ader for 30 seconds? Good grief. Let's cast this on myself.
Watch it.
Oh, good grief, you got Ader too? I mean, Aloth too? Holy cow. That's gonna hit literally every moon, but it will hit Thaos. And it flat out killed him. Well done.
I could go for some shut-eye about now.
Yeah, I imagine you could. That would have been a really hard fight if I let it scale up to level 16, actually. At your feet rests the body of Thaos, hollow, the dense wrinkles shaped by the silent shouldering of an eternal burden, now smoothed across his cutter-drained face. His soul remains still for the moment, defenseless, its energy expended in defeat. It lies sprawled across his body like a death shroud.
All those lifetimes spent to preserve a single vital secret. I would expect a man to reconsider his choices after the first 500 years.
You'd think.
After journeying for lifetimes, I can't imagine his failure, knowing it was all for nothing.
In his own way, Thaos must have truly believed he was caring for the people of Eora, protecting them from themselves. A shame his soul won't have a chance to reflect on his errors before it enters the wheel.
Some point, you have to look at the things your god is telling you to do. Ask yourself if it's worth it.
Well, Ader would know something about that.
He spent his lives, more than any of us will ever know. For what? Binding the world to a lie. could a man like that ever be redeemed?
And let's explore his soul. With a deep breath, you plunge into Thaos' soul. And where in Brackenbury it had been a maze of narrow corridors and dead ends, now it is expansive and borderless, its walls crumbling into heaps like the ruins of Angmouth as you pass through them. You travel for what seems like ages, rushing to a known destination, a memory you glimpsed once before. At last you see it, no more than a pinprick of light at the end of a long tunnel, expanding slowly at first, then quickly as you near. You come out, in the room you're standing in now, but it's new and pristine and filled with people, thousands of them, all turned towards the great Adra pillar and the machine that encases it. Thaos stands at the machine, and you're one with him now. You look out at the crowd, at faces of shriveled old men and cherub-cheeked little girls, at mothers bouncing infants to quiet them, and fathers clasping their children's restless hands, and watching you with somber acceptance. A woman with tears in her eyes gives you a small nod. You turn back toward the machine, your breaths constricted beneath the weight of unwanted knowledge, preparing yourself to set out alone on a journey without end. You close your eyes and open them again to find the machine still in front of you, beckoning. You take your place in front of it and place your hands upon a large mechanical disc at the base of the great crystal column and speak a single word. Giant rings creak to life, building speed, setting arrays of carved draconic mouths aglow, and sending tremors through the platform beneath you. The entire room shakes now with the force of the accelerating machine, all sound drowned out by its deep, deafening thrum. Brilliant tendrils of light arc outward from the pillar in all directions, and you look over your shoulder to see them engulfing the crowd, burning them brightly like hot iron. One by one, the tendrils disappear, leaving ashen effigies where people once stood, many of them disintegrating into grey heaps under the stress of the tremors. You look above to the Adra pillar, and a glowing spherical mass has begun to coalesce atop the column where the arcs converge. It grows and pulses, translucent and bulbous like some immense chrysalis, suspended in slow rotation as though it were being spun from the arcs of light. When the last arc disappears, the spectral mass hangs a moment, no longer rotating, so bright you must shield your eyes with an outstretched hand, and it seems to you as though it's looking at you. You bow your head in acknowledgement, and look up. Hold on. I see. Okay. Look up to see it melt into the pillar like warm candle wax. The pillar flares with a flash of light bright as the sun itself, then fades to darkness. The machine slows down to an abrupt halt, and when the last echo of its grinding cogs is past, the chamber is still, and you are alone. From all sides, reality begins to bleed in through the memory, and you find yourself in your own skin once more, looking down on Thaos' lifeless body. You sense a listlessness to Thaos' soul, an overwhelming fatigue that hinders its immediate escape and makes it vulnerable to manipulation. You feel as though your victory has given you some kind of hold over it, and you're able to do with it as you please. So, I can return his soul to the cycle at last. I can tear it apart. Banish it. Destroy his memories. Let's just return it to the side. I mean, if I tear it, I don't think he deserves to know peace, but I think this is... I feel like Wodoka would just let him out or something. You'll remember this, Thaos. Remember, no man can hide the truth forever, and all you've ever done was done in futility. Your memory shall be your penance. I mean, I think he won't be powerful
Some
anymore,
acts
so...
cannot be forgiven, it seems.
I suppose we'll see if he can rise above that.
You can feel the pull of the intricate Adra capillaries that rise up from the depths below the chamber. Many are bound up with the great pillar and would pass to Wodoka, but some are filled with the souls of the dead, bound for somewhere else entirely, and you know these are paths of rebirth. Stretching your presence as far as your spirit will allow, you make contact with one such path. And between it and yourself, you open up what feels like a long tunnel. Sheer and undulating like the gullet of some enormous beast. You shift your focus to Thaos' soul, clinging weakly to its vanquished shell, and with all your concentration, you wrench it free and send it hurtling through the channel until it passes into the Adra vein and can be felt no more. In the stillness that follows, a single word echoes through your mind, a word you spoke when you were one with Thaos in an ancient memory. You realize it is the word that activates the machine. Well. Got any good loot, Thaos?
I'd be glad to.
Damn it, none at all? Useless old man. Not that I have any need for loot, but, you know. So the machine's still running. I think it's time we shut it down. As you approach the machine, the path underfoot suddenly changes to a cobbled road. If you hadn't experienced visions like this already in Tir Evron, you'd be tempted to believe that the machine had sucked you into it and deposited you in the middle of nowhere. The sun blazes overhead, and the rolling meadows and thick forests on either side of the road could be anywhere in the Deerwood. A shrill cackle turns your head. Standing next to you is a malnourished man clad in a threadbare loincloth and manacles. His entire body is striped with lash marks, and there are scarred pits where his nose and ears should be. He stinks of stale sweat and unwashed filth. You notice someone wandering down the road, but the figure's back is to you. The scarred slave has your attention for now.
I have observed you, Watcher. The way you handled that noble girl in Deerford, delivering an idol effigy to her uncle. A most careful scheme.
Well, thanks, Skane.
You have labored at the pleasure of others. That shriveled hag in Hadrit House. Those preening soldiers with more taste for silk than steel. The wretched tribesmen playing out their fantasies of grandeur. And then you cowered and knelt before the gods themselves, begging one paltry favor and receiving riddles and visions in response.
Yep, afraid so.
And now the gods give you orders and commands, even while you set out to fix what they cannot. Yet what have they offered you?
They offered us the means to stop Wodaka and Thaos. That's enough for me. A suspicious grimace crosses Aloth's face. I get the feeling this is his way of giving you new orders on behalf of his own master. Be careful, Sea Lord. Given the breadth of the iron manacle, it's amazing that he can raise his bone-thin arm. But he does, and he points to the person walking the other way along the road.
The exiled queen is not an ungrateful patron.
You get a better look at the lone figure and realize she's wearing robes, tattered and singed, but fine nonetheless. On her head is the silhouette of a broken crown. She continues walking, her pace slow but determined. What, one last desperate play to replace Thaos with me?
Finish the work Thaos began. Strengthen Wodaka with these souls and allow her to become the most powerful of all the gods, with you as her favored.
Yeah, that's exactly the play. It just requires me to have, no moral fiber whatsoever. I've been working against Wodaka this whole time. Why would she thank me now that I've defeated her most loyal servant? Loyal and weak. Thaos proved his inadequacy when he failed to anticipate you. A plan exposed is worse than none at all. But you have proven resourceful, equal to the schemes of gods. Wodaka has a long memory, Watcher, for both friends and foes, and she keeps her oaths. That would mean the secrets of the gods stay hidden. He rubs his hands together, his black eyes gleaming. Safely hidden, yes, from the violent overlords who would seize to fear punishment in the next life, from the heavy-handed masters who would answer to no one. The world needs some schemes, or the souls of kith so pure that you would snap the tenuous threads that bind society. Yeah, I really don't think those are the threads that bind society. I don't think the violent overlords actually fear punishment in the next life anyway. Have caution, Sea Lord. All schemers desire an ignorant multitude. Kana's shoulders are set in a straight line, his expression grim. What they fear most is that we should know enough not to be content in our places. I'm inclined to agree, Kana. But what do you mean by her favored, by the way? The recipient of Vodka's blessings. She has always had a place for mortals of particular merit. If you help her now, she will become the most powerful of all the gods, and you will be the one who made her so. Think of the lifetimes of reward you would reap. Perugina steps towards Skane. Equal parts madness and idiocy. Why would we form an alliance with one who has opposed us? I'm not getting the Italian here. Who has opposed us at every turn? Skane turns his flinty eyes on Perugina. So says your companion who's been abandoned by her own country. Do you really trust her to make alliances for you? Skane takes a bundle at his feet and hefts the burden onto his back. I've explained the alternative, Watcher. Continue as a pawn of the gods or a partner of one. At the other end of the road, the figure stops. She turns her head just enough to look over her shoulder. Her face is mostly hidden, but one merciless eye peers at you from a cheek of rippled, scorched flesh. That's gonna be a hard no, Skane.
You say that now, but when you're standing in front of the machine, considering the lifetimes and the powers that await you, we'll see what you do.
He continues down the road, and when the sun suddenly drops below the horizon, it plunges you into momentary darkness. You come to your senses in front of the machine. All these evils we've seen, going all the way back to the Saints' War. That was all Vodka. Imagine if she was stronger on top of it. Yeah, no, she clearly cannot. We're not giving her power. The machine resonates with the energy of thousands of souls. Standing near it makes your head spin. It's a head of a machine. With your companions bearing witness, you step up to the place where Thaos once stood before his people long ago. The great machine lies in front of you, idle, ready. You've seen this machine and others like it in operation. You understand how it works. It's a device for directing souls. As a watcher, it would be a simple matter to influence that direction, though as big as the machine is, it may be the last thing you ever do. Yeah, that's ominous, but we gotta do it. There's a shrieking of stone grinding against stone as old cogs loosen and begin to turn. I feel like it was turning anyway. You have only moments before the souls will be sent into the Adrafane. This will be the only chance at redirecting them. I think, I pretty much made this choice already, really. We're siding with Hylia. Makes sense as she is the patron goddess of the artists anyway, which we are, and also her plan just straight up sounds the best. I mean, Gallowayne is an option too. We're definitely not sending them to Wodika. We're not disintegrating them, thanks Rimmergomb. Brass option is reasonable, but doesn't sort of fix the immediate problem. And also Whale's option is just crazed, so that's a no. So it's pretty much between Hylia and Gallowayne, and I guess we'll go with Hylia. Seems the more merciful option, really. Return the souls to the bodies they were intended for. Close your eyes and expand your perception outward, taking in the immense totality of the tens of thousands of souls orbiting the chamber. Your grasp on the souls is tenuous. You find yourself fighting to keep them all within your influence, and you can feel them slipping away from you as the machine gains speed. A brief moment comes when you feel as though you hold all of them at once, and their force is so great it feels as though they will tear you apart. In that moment, you dedicate your entire being to bending their orbit, channeling their flow in a new direction. I just got the achievement for winning the game.
At your command, the ancient device became your instrument, spinning to life with deafening resonance and gathering up the swirling essence like thread on a great spindle. There, in the pale, pulsing glow of the machine that set you on this path long ago, you summoned all your strength, focusing on your objective and blocking out all else. With a single concussive blast that rocked the chamber and sent you tumbling to the ground, you freed the souls from their stasis. Exhausted, your consciousness slipping away, your last sight was of the machine, dark and dormant. Then your eyes closed, and sleep welcomed you at long last. After coming to and searching for some time, you discovered the route Thaos used to enter Sun and Shadow, and embarked on a long and arduous ascent back to the surface. You emerged in Ter Evron after days of tunneling through the rubble Thaos had left behind, and when you stepped into the daylight, you were faced with a different Deerwood than the one you had left. At your direction, the souls diverted by Thaos were guided back to the vessels originally meant for them. For the first time, parents of hollow-born children woke to the cries of their infants and looked into their eyes to see them staring back. People fell to their knees where they stood, thanking Helia or Mogren, or even Aethys for their forgiveness of whatever guilt they felt they bore. But for all the relief that had come to some parents, others only found new grief. For many thousands of Hollowborn had died during Wide One's legacy, many by their parents' own hands. For those children, there would be no homecoming. Yet the last Hollow birth was in the past now, and those parents willing to risk trying for a new child were frequently rewarded, often with twins. Many felt they saw Helia's hand in it, and the year would be remembered as the year of Helia's splendor. Lord Radric's zeal had brought him back to life once, but it would not do so again. Radric's destruction at your hands spelled the end of his suffocating rule over Gilded Vale and the surrounding area. In his absence, the village prospered, becoming a popular destination for new settlers anxious to leave Defiance Bay after the riots. Without a nearby ruler, it also grew more wild, with many settlers moving on as soon as they'd arrived, turned off by lawlessness that was excessive even by Deerwooden standards. Nevertheless, despite the challenges of living there, Gilded Vale had survived, and would continue to survive for the foreseeable future. Following the assassinations of Duke Avar Wolfgren and Lady Webb, Defiance Bay was thrown into political upheaval. In the ensuing weeks, the streets had become the domain of looters and blackguards. Few dared to step outside their own doors alone or unarmed. But order was soon re-established by the Knights of the Crucible, who, despite their depleted numbers, had gained favor in the public eye for their role in the unraveling of the conspiracy surrounding Wideone's legacy, and were quickly reinforced by returning forces from Fleetbreaker Castle. For the Knights, their resurgence marked a return to the tradition as well. Having seen firsthand the dangers presented by dabblers in animancy, the Order quickly abolished the practice internally, preferring the familiarity of their hammers and forges to the uncertainties of Essence and Adra. Their identity rediscovered, the Knights suppressed their political aspirations and began once again to train their recruits in the art of blacksmithing, recapturing the post-revolutionary ideals of Deerwood and regaining the respect of its citizens as a result.
Good.
Though the machine atop Ter Noaneth had been disabled, it had not seen its last use. Heritage Hill was rebuilt, and no sooner had the first families moved in to resettle the district than members of the Leaden Key, acting under standing orders from their Grand Master, climbed the tower and reactivated the machine. The initiates slew a handful of the new settlers under cover of night and watched as history repeated itself, the victims reanimating and devouring the survivors. After this second incident, the district would remain abandoned.
Yeah, that's fun.
The Duke's assassination at the apparent hands of an animancer had caused catastrophic rioting in the streets of Defiance Bay. But those who had escaped the melee and the palace hearings remembered the testimonies of the strange guest who had shown up that day and absolved animancy, implicating the Leaden Key instead. The rumor spread quickly, and soon the popular belief was that the assassin had been a Leaden Key spy. When the legacy had lifted, people came to see it not as a sign that the riots had been according to the gods' wishes, as Thaos had hoped, but as a confirmation that animancy had never been the source of the problem in the first place. Deerwoodens instead convinced themselves that the riots had somehow purged Defiance Bay of Leaden Key spies, and that the end of Wideone's legacy was their well-deserved reward.
Great job, guys.
The rage against animancers was quickly forgotten, and those who had survived were permitted to return to Brackenberry Sanitarium and rebuild it so they might resume their studies. In the town of Deerford, an underground cult dedicated to Scan insinuated itself into the town's institutions. It became a popular travel destination for the wealthy, who were actively courted by the town's leadership. But few who visited the town would ever return, as they soon found their fortunes plummeting and their reputations destroyed by their own kin. Obsidian's renewal brought new vigor and purpose to a god long known for quiet, steady labor. Handicraft saw a revival in the Deerwood, and no smith wanted for an apprentice. Additionally, Obsidian's restored interest in preservation led to redoubled efforts to survey Engwithan ruins. Animancers and craftsmen alike found much to study, but tensions with Eir Glanfath rose. As for Stalwart, the Battle of Caeron's Scar only strengthened their resolve to unlock the mysteries of Durgan's steel and build new marvels with the White Forge. However, Stalwart's ambitions brought them into further conflict with the Red Serens, as more and more impoverished communities gathered at the border and vowed to finish the work of the Iron Flail. It would be many generations before the region saw peace. The Flames That Whisper clan found a cautious peace with Stalwart, particularly once the villagers heard of the aid the ogres had offered against the Eyeless. The clan moved back into the Russet Wood, and as Stalwart grew in prestige, the villagers formed a tighter alliance with their ogre neighbors. Within a generation, ogre traders visited Stalwart, and village hunters were welcome in the Russet Wood.
That worked out.
Harmka's death had brought the Devil of Carrick little satisfaction. In time, her taste for vengeance soured. What replaced it was a hunger to feel something, anything, new. Summer had thinned the snowpack twice over when she felt the joint at her elbow first begin to stiffen. She turned her back on the hopes of animancy and civilization and walked east. She pushed through the mountains, past Raid Ceres, and into the broad plains of Ishamiddle. She had forgotten what it was like to simply journey, no goal or destination in mind. Though she felt nothing more than the steady thump of her feet on the road, the endless horizons and grassy meadows were new to her. She measured her time in the gradual rusting of her body and was satisfied. Her movements slowed, but so did the world around her. Waist-high grasses undulated and tacked in the wind, as gradual as the tides. Sparrows and blackjays made steady pilgrimages across the sky, each flap of their wings a solemn salute. She could hardly move when she found something she had never seen before, the ocean. With the last of her strength, she pulled herself beneath the water, content at last to feel the movement of currents and the constant caress of the waves.
Probably the best she could
Free
afford.
from the burden of her memory, Maneha soon left the gift-bearers and resumed adventuring. Now that she had a taste for the world, she wanted to experience it anew. Maneha rediscovered her zest for battle, extravagance, and romance. She kept her gaze on the horizon, looking from one journey to another more distant, from the lover in her arms to another more fervent. Hers was a life of excitement, violence, and passion. She moved too quickly for regret to catch up with her, and she hoped only that she might outpace it in the next life as well. The fortress of Cadnua emerged as a bastion of security in the midst of an untamed land, becoming the envy of every thane and earl in Deerwood. Legend grew over time of its impregnability, and stories of formidable invaders easily scattered by the keep's defenses became popular around the hearths of Deerwoodinians. Likewise, it also became a beacon to travelers, merchants, and visiting dignitaries alike. Reputed as the finest fortress in all Deerwood, people would journey from near and distant lands alike to experience its fabled hospitality and grandeur. After the death of the master below,
long epilogue,
a strange quiet fell over the endless paths of Odd-Nua. The attacks on the fortress above ceased, Odd-Nua's silent titan the closest remaining thing to a master in its musty, forgotten passages. Palagina had gone against the Duke's Bell's orders by inventing a new trade arrangement with the Anamenfath to accommodate the recovering Deerwooden market. With the Deerwood's people still weakened by Weidman's legacy, the Valian republics easily pushed their would-be competitors out of the market. For her outrageous insubordination and audacity, Palagina was banished from the republics. She traveled north in the Eastern Reach, avoiding Valian ports and entering the ranks of the kind wayfarers. Despite her bravery and dedication to those in her care, her strange appearance made her feel like an outsider wherever she went. Haravius took his leave of the party and, after his first bath in years, returned to his nomadic lifestyle. With his homesickness expunged, he found renewed joy and tranquility in his wandering survey of the wilderness. For the first time in his life, he ventured beyond sight of the mountains of Glonfath. During his travels, he penned numerous journals and sketches detailing his travels through frozen tundra, searing desert, and tropical forests. Wherever he went, Haravius left behind stories of the Autumn Druid, a temperamental, one-eyed wise man of the forest, known to bring food to lost travelers and unusual advice to anyone willing to ask him a question. Adair chose not to return home to Gilded Vale. Still most comfortable far from cities, he settled in Deerford, which, like many towns in the Deerwood, was beginning the slow process of rebuilding. Believing now that it was the obligation of Kith to be the leaders their gods had not, Adair was soon named mayor of the town, and under his guidance, Deerford soon began to prosper. He expelled the last of the Scanites from the area and drew new settlers with the offer of land, a trick he had learned from someone he otherwise preferred to forget. With each passing day, Deerford would come to more closely resemble the Gilded Vale of Adair's childhood, the one worthy of its name.
Well done, Ader.
When the dust settled in sun and shadow, Aloth looked upon the remains of Thaos Ixarchanon, his former master. He saw where the Grand Master had gone wrong and what would be required to undo the harm Thaos had wrought. With a flick of his wrist, he burned Thaos's robe, headdress, and every other symbol of the man's power. Never again, he vowed, should Kith live in fear and blind obedience to an authority they did not understand. Armed with the knowledge and courage he had gained on his journeys with the Watcher, he set out on the long and lonely task of dismantling the Leaden Key. With both their aims fulfilled, Kanarua bid the Watcher farewell and sailed back to his beloved Rawatai. There, he reported on his findings to the Lore College. Kana spoke of the Engwithan people, describing both their vile experiments and their inspiring accomplishments. He spoke too of the destruction of the tablet by the Leaden Key, and the group's efforts to erase the Engwithan legacy from the world. Both inspiration and cautionary tales, he said, could be found in the world beyond Rawatai's borders. Kana urged his people to continue to pursue knowledge abroad, so that the lessons found there might benefit Tekoa. Kana's inability to prove his theory of Engwithan influence diminished his academic standing, but his passion drew much interest from those less concerned with degrees. Kana swiftly became an influential figure in the move toward a more collaborative approach to expansion on the northern continent. In his personal life, he came to enjoy the reputation of an affable eccentric, willing to share grand and impossible secrets, along with a drink and a song. With Thaos defeated and the souls released from sun and shadow, healthy children were born once again in the Deerwood. The grieving mother sought a place where she might do penance for the birthing bell. She returned to Deerford, where, to the astonishment of the villagers, she delivered the first healthy child in over a decade. She remained there, and with each new birth, she saw a measure of hope restored to the Deerwood and a measure of grace for her own troubled past. Durrance used Magrin's strength only until Thaos had been cast from the world, and then swore off her influence entirely. Regret came to weigh heavily on his mind, and a man who had never previously lacked for words or opinions came to embrace silence and contemplation. He continued to wander, penniless and destitute, searching now not for the reason for his goddess's silence, but for a mechanism for revenge. The charred robes he continued to wear as a reminder that he had been burned by his goddess, and not just by the flames of the Godhammer. After 5 years of searching for Persoc, Sagani's 4-month journey home felt longer still. The Deerwood, Glonfath, the Valian republics became places on a map, endless expanses of green between her and Nasitok. Her homecoming was celebrated by all of Masuk, yet it was the reunion with Kalu and their children that truly brought her joy. She relinquished her role in the long hunts, and ever after, she and Itumak spent their days working in the village and their nights at her hearth. She watched her own children and their children grow and thrive. When she finally passed, she lay surrounded by the affection and tears of 5 generations. For you, the death of Thaos brought an end to your waking visions and a silence to the whispers of the past. In their absence, you were able to sleep. The questions of a distant lifetime ceased to trouble your soul. All that remained was what to make of the answer. But at the moment, there was little to be done, and the matter would have to wait. A long journey loomed ahead.
What long journey? I mean, Pillars 2, but we wouldn't have known about that yet exactly. Alright. So that's the game. Pillars of Eternity. Not bad at all. Actually didn't remember it was published by Paradox, who I quite love, as well as Obsidian. I mean, overall, look, the storytelling is as masterful as you would possibly expect from Obsidian. Like, really, really good. The companions were all pretty much extremely compelling. So I have no objections at all there. The whole world, quite interesting. I liked what they did with the gods and the wheel and all of that. The lore was just pretty much fantastic, and I do love lore. The only thing dragging it down is the combat gameplay, and to some extent, like, I don't want to say the inventory system was actually bad, but it was just kind of okay. That was average. It was chaotic, but average. Maybe it wasn't as easy as it could have been to organize and sell the junk, basically. But no, what really dragged it down was the combat gameplay, which was alright most of the time, but not ever really great. I mean, it could have been way... If you turned the difficulty up, it would have required just endless micromanagement for just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fights. And if you turned it down, it was just basically clicking on things to kill them. So... And aside from that, the difficulty spikes were crazy, because you would, without any warning, go from fights that were you steamrolled easily to fights that would absolutely crush you. So overall, I'd probably give it about, I don't know, 8. Fantastic world building, storytelling, lore, companions, quests, all of that. Mechanically, a little creaky, probably. Honestly, I don't know if I would have finished it if it wasn't on YouTube, because it did, it didn't drag on exactly. It ended strong, just, maybe somewhere in the middle game it dragged on a little. How fast can I make this go? Because I'm pretty much done talking now. I guess it's not really that much of a point in watching it all if I'm just gonna... I think we're just scrolling through Kickstarter backers at this point though, so... 32 is as fast as it goes. These are definitely Kickstarter backers, so... We will get to the end of them. In the meantime... Oh, there we are. I do want to thank you all very much for watching. I know this series hasn't been as... Oops. I know this series hasn't been as popular as my Rule the Waves series, but I know some of you have watched, and I appreciate that. So, yep, thank you all very much. There will be a successor series to this. I will do Pillars 2 at some point, but it's not what's going to come out immediately next. I think our next RPG is probably going to be Citizen Sleeper, and then maybe Disco Elysium, which are both quite a bit more modern than Pillars, of course, and not really the same concept, but I think those are going to be what's next. And then probably Pillars 2 at some point after that, because I am eager to play it. But in the meantime, as I said, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this series. I hope you enjoyed Pillars of Eternity. And I hope you all have a nice day. This is Sea Lord Janda, signing off.